time in the NBA, have you seen that not being the case? And Landry said that these guys, they all seem pretty close. And have you experienced that with this group? And in the past, have you seen situations that aren't like that?
Yeah, I have seen situations that aren't like that for sure. I won't name any names though. But you know, our standard, and we talked about this, you know, before the season. We've talked about it a few times already during the season. Is first thing, everybody's got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice for one another at all times. There's got to be a connectivity, you know, amongst the group, and it has to be genuine. While having that connectivity, there's got to be a competitive spirit within you. And if you're playing dominoes, or if you're playing 5-on-5 or 2-on-2, or you're playing a shooting game, that competitive spirit has to surface because, you know, I've said this before, whether I'm fortunate, blessed, or lucky, or all of the above, I've been to 6 finals, once as a head coach, and every single team that I've been a part of had a competitive spirit at the highest level. And, you know, you can still be connected. You can still sacrifice for one another while having a competitive spirit. But at the end of the day, you all have to have an overall belief, first of the process, but a belief in each other that everybody's going to sacrifice. Everybody's going to try hard to be connected. Everybody's going to have a competitive spirit. You got to have an overall belief that that's going to happen while having a belief in the process. And if any of us don't, start with me, it's my job to hold everybody accountable. And it's everybody else's job to hold each other accountable, including me. I'm not above this. I got to be held accountable for those things too. So that's what our standard is. We all signed a contract adhering to what our standard's going to be. Sacrifice, connectivity, competitive spirit, an overall belief in the process and each other, while everybody holding each other accountable. And that sums up what this team's about. And for me, again, I'm just going off my experiences. You might get something different from other coaches that were with me or other players, but I felt if there's a standard that all those teams had that went to the final, it was those few things.
So
Yeah.
the decisions are tough, obviously, on the sponsors.
Yeah.
Looks like you. That's what you can ask for.
100%. Yeah. And you know, sometimes we play a ton of games. Everybody in this business is a pro, and anybody that's a pro can have an exceptional night. So sometimes it just wasn't meant for you to win. But if you're trying to adhere to what your standard is, then it's all you can ask for. Like you said, at certain times, you move on. But those things have to be here, day in, day out, night in, night out, 24/7, 365 days a year.
Anything new on Josh front? What he's able to do in practice, or is he still pretty limited in what he's able to do?
Yeah, he's limited now.
He's doing well on court scouting.
Yeah, and as time goes on, again, that's Casey's job, but they're ramping it up a little bit.
It's been close to 2 weeks now since
Yeah.
you last played. Just how does that, I guess, hinder your ability to evaluate? I know that you go off history, but you're trying to implement so many different things.
Yeah.
Are you expecting him to be available for the finale, or what do you think?
Well, I don't know yet, but first thing is that's why you got, in this case, we got 21 guys. But we always talk about next man up. Hey, keep yourself ready because you never know when your number's called. So it's twofold. It gets those guys mentally ready for that. Gives other guys opportunities. Gives me an opportunity to see others. But at the end of the day, Josh is an extremely important part of our process. We know this is going to be a process. It's not going to happen game 1, game 2. We're not going to come out, could we come out blazing? Yeah, who knows? But it's going to be a process. We're going to have our highs, we're going to have our lows. Can't get too high if it's going good, can't get too low if it's not. We got to stay even keeled and know that this is a marathon and not a sprint at the end of the day. And then on top of that, because he's out, if others are out too, we may face some adversity. which we need to face. And now it's about, we have those standards. Are those standards true? Because that's when you really know if people can adhere to stuff, is when you hit adversity. Do you go right? Do you go left? Or do you fight through it as a connected group?
What are you learning about Landry Shamet?
About Shamet?
Yeah, because last year he was limited for a lot of the year, and he didn't play playoffs.
The first thing is he plays extremely hard on both ends of the floor. Defensively, he's usually in the right spot. He's physical without fouling, and he will communicate and do his best to do whatever his job is. Offensively, he creates space because he's a shooter, so he creates even more space for his teammates, whether it's in the half court or transition. In transition, everybody knows we want to get to the corners to flatten the defense out. He does a heck of a job putting his head down and getting to the corners on every possession. So again, that helps create more space. When he cuts, it's with a high level of pace again, and he drags defenders with him. And so his cutting creates a gravity offensively because he can shoot that may open up other opportunities for his teammates. And then he tries to do the little things, offensively that won't show up in a stat sheet, but that when we track, he tries to do those things the right way as well. No, it's not done. Okay, we'll see. Wait! She said, wait. She said, not only that, she said, wait. Then she was like,
I'm very pleased with the performance the other day.
yeah.
How much, do you always, do the guys sit down and watch preseason, do you cut preseason film? Do you move on? Does it depend? Will you always watch film after a preseason game?
Yeah, most times we will, and we did, because, again, the good part about it is, doesn't at the end of the day matter if you win or lose in the preseason. I mean, I've had plenty of records as a head coach where we had losing preseason records. So it's about growth, and growth the right way. And so a lot of things that we did or didn't do well in that preseason game, to me, those are great teaching moments, great learning moments. And so we watched film today, and we went through some of that stuff. And it's good because even the starters, because the guys that are out, they watch the game, and they're able to see it. And now you're able to show them on film, backing up, pausing it, all that, of why we can't do a certain thing this way. Because again, if you do, it starts the dominoes to fall, and now it's easy opportunities for your opponent.
I have a worse question.
What's that?
I have a worse question.
No, that's pretty good.
How is this version of OG on offense different from one that maybe you had the game plan against their face earlier in his career? Last year was kind of a big step for him offensively. From what you've seen, how is this a different version?
Well, OG is extremely talented, and he can do a lot of different things with the basketball, without the basketball. I know I'm really pushing OG to get out and run because he could be a great runner. And if he gets out and runs and he catches the ball on the throw ahead, now the defense is not set. And you talk about catching the ball and having the ability to shoot the ball from three like he does, that means the defense got to close to him hard. The defense behind that closeout guy is not set, and now this is where the snap drive comes into play. And as long and big and strong as he is, if he snap drives that thing and gets downhill with the defense that's not set, I mean, it's called it lunch meat. It's lunch meat at that point in time. So I'm pushing him to do that. And, again, it's one of those things. I don't know if they, in the past, did that a lot. I don't know. But I know I'm pushing him to do that because I think he can be really, really good. Both he and Mikal in the open floor.
Landry said that, he was talking about last year and he had that shoulder injury and he really had to go through a lot of adversity. And he said it kind of changed him a little bit as a person, made him, he's pretty thankful to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see, even, for an older, or not older player, but a veteran player, kind of a a change, like, you know, would they go through something like that?
You know, I wasn't here with Landry every day, so that's a little tough. But I do know, you know, as you get older, especially if you go through an injury or two, and you see how fragile your opportunity is to be here in the NBA, you do appreciate it more. You know, and that's not just for a player, but even as a coach too. You know, whether you're a head coach or an assistant coach, and you know you hit some adversity, and next thing you know you're out. And you should reflect on the time that you were at your last location, why you're out, how you can change, and it does show more appreciation to you getting another opportunity in this league, and shoot, not just with us, but I mean, obviously for you guys too. I mean, you know, if you go through some adversity and something happens where there's a chance you might be out, but next thing you know, now there's a chance you're in, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm gonna do things a little different this way, or I'm gonna appreciate it a little bit more that way. Whatever it may be, it's all human nature.
You know, a lot of teams that say they want to play fast and shoot the free ball at a high level. Where does your belief come from that it'll work with this roster, given what the team wants to achieve?
We have guys that can get out and run. We have guys that have a good feel for the game of basketball, so they, as we continue to progress forward, they'll understand spacing a lot better. And we have guys that can play make. And when you have those things, guys that can get out and run, guys that have a good feel, and guys that can pass, dribble, and shoot, it usually bodes well for them. At least that's what I've experienced the last three years, and 4 years if you include the Nigerian national team. But and then it wasn't the same offense that we ran in Golden State, but there are some concepts that we took from there and we added to what we're doing. But at the same time, it takes some time to get used to playing this way, and it's not going to happen all at one time. And I think our guys know it, but they're working their tails off to try to get it there.